Hey, Chrissy here. I am a landscape architect and the owner of Kismet Design. I am a very process-driven designer, and I love sharing what I do and how I do it with anyone who's interested. Reaching your true potential and achieving your own personal goals will not happen by chance. You have to set your intentions, make a plan, and do the work. Thank you for joining me to nerd out on design. Don't forget to subscribe and to share too. Let's create something great together. February is here, and this month's focus topic is growth. When I think of growth in terms of financial growth, knowledge growth, and the growth of offerings and capabilities. But growth is also a bit about growing up. When it comes to professional growth, growing up is realizing there is a huge difference between playing to win and playing not to lose. When I started out as a designer, I felt like I had to fight for new work and had to strategically position myself to be the go-to person in the studio. I felt like every project had to be mine. Everyone had to say yes. And really, the older I get, the more I realize that is so not true. The right projects will come to me. The right clients will be the ones that say yes. And the ones that say no, I'm typically better off for not having. And that's great. Because not having those projects that are not best suited for me gives me time freedom to say yes to the things that are. Part of my incessant need to say yes to everything when I was very new and building my career was partially because of the economic state when I was really setting the foundation of my career. But some of it was also a learned mentality of scarcity, which, as much as I hate to say it, is something that is just built and fostered in the studio environment in school. For those of you that have been in a landscape architecture studio or any design field for that matter, you know what I mean. As I look back on my career and my life path, I realize how much I have grown and how much that mindset has changed. If you want to learn more about what that path looked like, you can go back and tune into episode 48. As I have grown in my career over the past 15 plus years, I have grown both professionally and personally, and growth isn't always easy to put into one bucket or another. There's usually a lot of overlap between the two. As my business, Kismet Design, has grown over the last 5 years, I have felt the same way. But either way, I think growth starts with a solid foundation and a clear vision. Building a solid foundation for your business has multiple facets: education, knowledge, experience on one side, and on the other is a solid business plan, referral partners, clear business goals, and what brings all of that together is passion, a little bit of grit, or a lot of it of grit, and perseverance. When starting out, very few of us had much of a foundation, so we had to build it from the ground up. It is important to know where you are headed and have a vision of what direction you want to build in. As your career and business grow and evolve, you will likely need to make adjustments and shifts to continue evolving your vision with newfound experiences. Each new project and each new client brings the opportunity to grow and learn. Not all of those lessons learned are learned the easy way, though. Many of my biggest growth moments were from lessons learned the hard way. And the pain of a tough lesson sticks with you for a while. But it forces innovation and change much faster than any success could. Failure is the biggest tool any of us has to fostering growth. You hear people referred to as an overnight success all the time, but when you hear directly from them or dig a little deeper into those stories, those quote-unquote overnight success stories are years and decades in the making. In the era of Instagram, it makes it even harder to realize this sometimes, because all we get to see sometimes is the successes and the carefully curated views of someone's life, be it professional or personal. It's hard to forget that no person, or especially wise business owner, is going to post a bad review on their website or on Instagram or go into detail about the mistakes that they made on a project or things that happened that they didn't anticipate and had to pivot. But I guarantee every wise business owner that took on that bad review or that challenging project or had things not go as planned turned it into a learning moment to change how they do things to keep those painful lessons from happening again. One of the most challenging lessons every business owner has to learn is money. Money mindset is a key piece of being a successful business owner, regardless of what success looks like to you. Although growth is not just about finances, it is an integral piece of running a business and sets the foundation for being able to continue dedicating yourself to your business to achieve those future non-financial growth goals. For most business owners, talking about money is one of the most challenging elements of business. And it's not just the asking for money part that is a challenge. It is also keeping track of money and billables, taxes, and how much you charge for what you do. Way back when I was a baby intern for a design build firm in Spokane, shout out to Land Expressions, my mentor gave me what likely was one of the best experiences he could have provided me. He may not have even known at the time how beneficial it was. I think he did, though. We had a client that I had been working on the design with him on, and I got to sit in on the bid meeting for the proposal presentation for the install piece of that design. They had a ton of questions, including some really awkward ones, asking for information on how much the materials and the labor were being marked up, how much each laborer was making, and why the bid was more expensive than work that they had bid for various other projects that they had done over the years. Being a fly on the wall to hear how those questions were answered and how the proposal was presented was amazing. I do remember very specifically being so grateful that I was not the point person at that point, and I was not the one responsible for answering all of those questions. But Clayton didn't even bat an eye, and it was as if it was standard questions that everybody asked. Not the case, though. I sat in on many bid meetings, but none were quite as awkward as that one. Because even as a very young, I don't even know if I was graduated from college yet, but I knew that those were questions that most people didn't ask. And although they have every right to ask what they want, they were kind of a bit cringy. Another great one was helping to sort out and justify hours on a project that was being billed time and materials. The owner's representative was questioning some of the hours billed, and we had to work to document those hours and justify them through progress of work that was being done, travel time, photos to document who was there and when. It was a lot. Maybe that project is why I don't like billing hourly. Needless to say, those were great experiences, and I learned a lot from them. Fast forward to today, and yep, now it's me in the hot seat answering questions that clients have about money. Over the years, it has gotten way easier, but every now and then there's a question that, well, throws me, and I'm sure every seasoned designer feels the same way. Money mindset is the best place to start to prepare yourself to discuss money with clients. For me, it really helps if I am able to remove myself from the situation a bit. Yes, I do want to advise my clients to spend their money wisely and get the most for their budget, and that is an ongoing conversation through the design. But I need to keep in mind that my client's financial situation is not the same as my own. Their values for what they deem valuable to them is different than what I deem valuable to me for my own home. And more often than not, I don't know the full financial picture of my clients, other than what their spending thresholds are and their desired budget. Some of my clients have the ability to pay cash for everything, while others are using a, a bonus or a home equity line of credit to finance their project. Next is ensuring that you are comfortable and confident in what you are charging and how you are invoicing for your design fees. Your hourly rate will change as your skills and business evolve. And I find that many designers are not charging enough or not charging what they're worth, and often are not billing for all of their time. It is a tough hurdle to get over, but keep in mind that if you undervalue your time, so will your clients. Charging what you are worth builds respect, and it feels good. It is very likely that you have never had a client tell you that they didn't think they got their money's worth. Yet, you may have heard on many occasions that you over-delivered on expectations. I'm not saying that's a bad place to be, but remember that feeling when you are considering your pricing structure. I would rather over-deliver and have my clients feel like what I provided was of great value. But there's a balance to ensure that you are still charging fairly to both you and your clients. For many of us, we go from being an employee, where our time is very transactional, regardless of industry, to being owners and entrepreneurs and keeping that same money mindset. As an hourly employee, you are paid for your time, one for one. And although you are being paid more per hour as a productive or high quality producing employee, you may not be being paid for the value that you provide to your employer. Once you transition to an entrepreneur, there are so many other costs to keep in mind, or let's be honest, figure out along the way. I have no idea why, but I can't even count how many new entrepreneurs I've talked to take their previous hourly rate and double it and decide that's what they should be charging. Don't be embarrassed if you are one of them. You are in very good company. Why is that equation something so many designers come up with? I have no idea. My best guess is that there is some documentation out there that equates the cost of having an employee to 2 times their hourly rate. That includes taxes, but doesn't cover equipment or software subscriptions and added employee perks depending on what that employer offers. It's a semi-helpful calculation as an employer, but as a business owner, I'll tell you, it is not enough to make a decent living and to cover all of the costs of doing business. And for those of you that started your own business to have the opportunity to make more money and have more flexible schedule, it is not going to cut it unless you were a very highly paid at your previous job. This is possibly the reason why so many designers work crazy hours and still feel like they can't do enough and aren't able to make a good living. It is even more challenging for those that were grossly undervalued at their previous employers. The comparison game can be brutal. What is the saying? Something like the comparison is the thief of joy. I think there's a lot of truth to that. As a new designer without a lot of experience, it can be exceptionally challenging to know the value that you are providing and be able to put a reasonable price tag on it. There's also this weird, awkward thing where people don't talk about what they charge. So you don't even know what's reasonable and where that range falls. The value that you provide is more than just a service, though, and it is more than just a product. As a designer, you're delivering an experience. You are translating your client's wishes into a functional and aesthetically pleasing design, and then escorting them through the bid and installation process, as well as escorting them through the design process. All while tapping into your communication skills, construction knowledge, artistic expression, and building personal connections. There is much more value there than you may realize, especially for clients that have little to no experience and need someone to assure them of the correct decisions and paths to take. Often, of even more value is guiding your client away from bad decisions or purchases. Now that you've reframed your mindset around money and your value, it takes practice to confidently talk to clients about the cost of your services. Then comes the ever-changing cost of the actual construction. I always advise more inexperienced designers to punt this conversation to a contractor or befriend a contractor or more experienced designer to give them some pointers on guiding them into having that install budget conversation. I find the most challenging part to be the fact that most clients have a needs and a want list that surpasses their desired or comfortable budget. Knowing the budget early in the process is very helpful and can guide the conversation around material selection, phasing, and even compromises to keep from designing something that the client loves but will never be able to afford or to install. I tell my clients I can either design what they want within reason, knowing their budget, and help them figure out how to phase it in to get there eventually, or I can do my best to guide them to decisions that will stay within their budget. Without knowing their budget, I can't do either, but I can design what they want. Blindly. I hope this was helpful, and I hope it gave you some guidance and assurance to ensuring that you are charging adequately for your services. I also have an exciting offering that just opened up. At the end of February, I will be hosting a Zoom chat all about contracts, billing, and estimating. This will only be held live, so mark your calendars for February 29th at 10 a.m. That's Pacific time. There will be a link in the show notes as well as a link to sign up in the designer shop on my website, kismetdesignco.com. You can also use the code podcast24 for a discount. In this live class, I will talk through my unique way of estimating design fees, presenting and writing my contracts, billing, and even a touch on how to create construction estimates to help clients budget. To wrap up, I want to thank you for your time. I hope the ideas discussed today have left you feeling excited and energized. As I build both my business and my life, I value the support and feedback you provide. I would love for you to reach out to me to let me know what you think, give me ideas, or just to connect. Please don't forget to subscribe and also share with a friend. Until next time, go create something wonderful.